A wild 5-run fifth inning was all the Halos needed. Oh, and a stellar start from Jose Soriano for the Angels to win 5-1 and continue their recent dominance over the Seattle Mariners. We'll talk about another win, a third straight, on tonight's edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast right now.
You are Locked On Angels Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls. Hello, Postcast people, and welcome to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast. As always, coming at you live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel and after the fact, wherever you get the Locked On Angels podcast feed. I am Gavin Carlson. If you don't know who I am, I spent 4 years as a credentialed journalist in LA, and I am now, of course, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. The Angels win a third in a row and a fifth straight against the Mariners. That's right, some recent ownage of the Seattle Mariners as Jose Soriano pitches a gem. There's a wild 5-run fifth inning. The only 5 runs the Angels scored, the only 5 runs the Angels needed to win their third straight, 5-1 in Seattle. They've now taken the first 2 of this series in Seattle after that shaky start to the post-All-Star break. Before we jump into this one, a quick shout out, as always, to everybody in here. Really appreciate the support. It's been great as of late. Really growing this community. We are here after every single Angels game, and we're growing this community more and more. Even as the Angels sometimes win by 10 runs or lose by 10 runs, definitely a lot more of the latter. We're always going to be here after every game as long as I'm feeling good. Hopefully the voice is sounding a little bit better. We've been struggling with some, illness stuff, but I think I'm back to almost 100%. Hopefully no cough fits on today's show. But please leave a like, leave comments. As always, subscribe if you haven't already. And a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's show, Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. And with all that being said, let's jump right into this one because a 5-run fifth inning was all the Angels needed because of a stellar start from Jose Soriano. Now, if you're not new to the postcast, you probably know that Jose Soriano is one of my favorite players on the Angels roster in 2024. There's just so much potential there. It's only his first year as a starting pitcher, just his second year in Major League Baseball, and he has the stuff that a modern 2024 stellar starting pitcher needs to have. He throws hard. He throws a sinker. He keeps the ball on the ground, a lot of ground balls. And every once in a while, he is young, he is very inexperienced, but every once in a while, he shows the flashes, the potential of, dare I say, a Cy Young potential. I know that might be a little bit crazy, but he's 25 years old. He throws the ball extremely hard. He throws a great sinker. There's absolutely no reason why he can't continue to get better and turn into maybe the ace of the Angels rotation. He might already be the ace in like a week. If Tyler Anderson's gone, who knows about a Griffin Canning and all the other arms in the rotation. Jose Soriano could be asked to be one of the leaders of this rotation this year and beyond. And with starts like these, it gives you faith. It gives you hope that he can be an ace for the Angels rotation. Tonight, 7 2/3 innings, just 3 hits allowed, 1 run. He did have 3 walks, but he managed it well. And of course, he's always going to get you a handful of strikeouts with that electric stuff. 5 strikeouts, but of course, above all else, forcing the ground balls, keeping the Mariners off the bases, just 3 hits, like I said. He was great. He only gave up 1 run in that 5th inning. The entire game, at least scoring-wise, happened in the 5th inning. Like I said, we'll get to the top of the 5th in a bit and how the Angels jumped out to a 5-run lead. But going into I think it was the 4th inning, there was 1 hit combined from both teams. It was, of course, the Mariners. The Angels literally did nothing. 1-2-3 first, 1-2-3 second, 1-2-3 third, 1-2-3 fourth before they had that massive 5th inning. Literally no base runners, no runners on the bases for the Angels heading into that inning. Now for the Mariners, they had 1 hit, so not much more for them, but a couple walks, a hit by pitch, sort of creating some chaos heading into the 5th inning for Soriano, but was able to keep everyone, of course, or keep the Mariners from scoring, of course. Now in the 5th, things did get a little interesting for him. He gave up a leadoff double to Jason Vossler. Then there was a wild pitch that sent Vossler to third. Then he immediately walks Dylan Moore. So you've got first and third with nobody out. And very fittingly, for a game like today, the only run Soriano gives up is still on a double play. And look at what happens when you actually have a lead, when your team actually scores 5 runs and gives our starting pitcher a lead. You're able to, with runners on first and third, not have to pitch perfectly, not have to pitch for a strikeout, not have to, keep the Mariners from scoring a single run. Just get the double play and you're fine. That's exactly what happens. Gets the double play. Vossler scores, but it's still just 5-1. And then from there, you get right out of the inning on the next at-bat against Rojas with a weak ground ball. And so, boom, a perfect 5th inning, first and third with nobody out could turn into a disaster. But instead, it just turns into a double play, just 1 run, and a stellar rest of the evening for Soriano. Was not able to finish the 8th inning. Would have been nice to see him get straight to the 9th inning. Probably wasn't going to pitch the 9th regardless. The pitch count was creeping up to 100. He did get taken out in the bottom of the 8th after a leadoff ground out, a 1-out single, then strikes out Josh Rojas, and you're like, okay, there's 2 outs. He's right there to complete the gem, complete the 8-inning start. But then a wild pitch sends Marlowe to second, and then he walks Victor Robles, and all of a sudden it's first and second with 1 out, with 2 outs. And the second there's a runner in scoring position, Ronald Washington comes out. It made sense. I thought it made sense. The right time to take him out. When the pitch count is creeping up, when you're still a relatively new starting pitcher, inexperienced starting pitcher, you're going to give him a shorter leash than a Tyler Anderson, right? And so the second you give up a base runner and then give up another one after there's a wild pitch, seemed like the right time to get him out of the game. But he was great. He was absolutely great, not only statistically wise, not only getting the win, not only the result, but also just what you want to see from Soriano, what you want to see from any of the young guys in a year like this is show the upside, show the potential. I'd almost rather have a game where Soriano, like I said, I've said it in the past and it might sound crazy, but I'd rather have a game where Soriano has some issues, gives up a double here, gives up a walk here, and then responds well. That's what I want to see, because that gives me faith that this is not a guy who's only going to pitch well when he's playing well. And he's not a guy that's only going to pitch well when the Angels give him a lead, because we know rarely do the Angels starting pitchers ever get to pitch with a lead. And so I like to see some adversity, and I like to see how you respond. And Jose Soriano, he's not perfect at all. He's a guy who forces ground balls, but with that comes, he throws strikes. And with that comes an occasional hard hit ball, an occasional double down the line, an occasional wild pitch, an occasional hit by pitch, or a walk or two. We saw 3 tonight. We saw some wild pitches. We saw a hit by pitch. That's what comes with a guy throwing hard as heck. And we saw it with Ben Joyce later in this game. But going back to Soriano, that's what you sign up for when you convert. Anytime it's a young starting pitcher, that's what comes with it. B, especially one that was a former reliever. And 3, or C, especially a former reliever who throws as hard as he does, who has such electric stuff. They're never going to be perfect, right? And so he is going to, if he wants to reach his potential, which I at least think is so high. I'm not going to lie. Originally on today's show there graphic, I said Jose Soriano shows Cy Young potential. I'm not even kidding. I literally had it loaded up, ready to go. And then I thought about it and I said, we'll just change it to huge potential. I'm not looking for any clickbaity stuff or stuff like that. I still think the potential is sky high. And I think a 3.57, now 3.51 ERA underestimates that potential. I'm talking a sub-3 ERA with a lot of strikeouts, a lot of ground balls type of pitcher. I really think the Angels might have hit the jackpot with Soriano, converting him to a starter and seeing what he's been able to do in very limited experience. Literally did not have a start coming into the season. 6-7 as the record, but 3.51 ERA with the consistency. I think something he can grow on, improve upon, but the upside is certainly there, and this start certainly makes you feel confident about that. So absolutely thrilled, absolutely fired up about Jose Soriano and his start. And it's one of the things I always root for is a Soriano start, because I love watching him pitch. I think he's electric. Same thing with a Ben Joyce, who we'll talk about in a second. But it feels so much better when that electricity is turned into results and a great start and getting out of trouble and doing his job. So absolutely thrilled by Soriano, one of the guys that I have in the group of faces of the franchise for the future, along with the O'Hoppe, Schanuel, Neto, maybe Joe Adell, maybe Mickey Moniak, but certainly those 3 in the lineup, certainly Ben Joyce, and certainly, at least in my opinion, Jose Soriano has to be included in that group of the top 5 guys that this team, this franchise is going to need to build around. I think he already deserves to be in that group. Absolutely. And a start like tonight shows that. We know the Mariners lineup isn't great. We know it isn't great. We know it's the worst in baseball, actually. But we've seen Angels starters struggle against the Mariners. And as of late, we've seen some dominance, which we'll talk about also in a bit. 5 straight wins against Seattle. How about that? But I don't care who it's against. He was great. And the eye test. It's not just the stats. It's not just some analytics or whatever. The eye test. Soriano has great stuff. And there's just like huge upside potential with this guy. So clearly, I've said it 100 times. I think he can be something special, and a start like tonight absolutely makes me just as confident as I was coming into the start, maybe if not more confident now about him and his future. After the first break here, we're going to talk about that 5-run top of the 5th inning that helped Soriano ease into the rest of the game. He was great, just one hit, going into the 5th, but he was able to settle down a little bit after the Angels put up a 5 spot. Makes it a whole lot easier to pitch when there's actually runs on the board for your team. So we'll talk about that top of the 5th inning, those 5 runs, in kind of a crazy way after our first break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Now, once again, today's show is brought to you by Booking.com. Yeah, with summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your rival cities. With hotels, bed and breakfasts, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay even in your baseball rivals city. Now, I did not go to a baseball rival city, but I did go to New York, to Yankee Stadium just last Friday, and like I've said a bunch of times now, I use Booking.com for part of my stay. I use the app. You can use the website as well. They're both great. But I used Booking.com. I used the app. Everything was super easy, efficient. Sometimes apps, still in 2024, apps are still not great sometimes. The user interface is not efficient, helpful, but Booking.com certainly is. So I highly recommend it. Maybe you can go see a rival game. Maybe you can't go to Oakland anymore, as we know from just this past weekend, but you can go to Seattle. You can go to Houston or Texas, maybe, and see a game, stay with Booking.com, and have a great summer vacation. So from hotels that look over stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this MLB season. The right state can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com, on the site, or in the Booking.com app. And today's show is also, once again, brought to you by FanDuel. I absolutely love FanDuel, and I also love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, no NBA, no NHL, no Euros, no Copa, the USA Basketball Summer Showcase is the only thing I'm watching nowadays, other than the Angels. We get fewer games. The sports aren't sporting like I want them to. But thanks to FanDuel, it lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. Like literally at that Yankee game I was talking about, bet on Juan Soto to have a huge game, bet on the Yankees to win by a big margin, and they did. How did I do that? With $200 of bonus bets that I won with a $5 bet at the New York Liberty WNBA game. So if that doesn't tell you about how great FanDuel is, you win one $5 bet, you get $200 in free bonus bets, and it all hits. At least it did for me last week. Highly recommend this summer, FanDuel hooks up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Back here live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. I am Gavin Carlson, and the Angels have won a 3rd straight game, baby. A 3rd straight game and a 5th straight against the Seattle Mariners. Some recent ownage, I just got to say that, against a division leader. The Astros and Mariners keep going back and forth. I think the Astros are getting blown out by the A's again tonight or something. That's crazy. But the Mariners are a good baseball team, mainly because of the rotation. And clearly the secret for the Angels is play against teams that also suck at hitting. If the Angels are playing a team that can hit well, with a shaky rotation, and I'd say a pretty decent bullpen as of late, but you play a team that can hit well, and the Angels simply can't keep up. You play a team that is a good pitching team, but stinks at hitting, like the Mariners, and the Angels are just going to play a bunch of 1-0, 2-1, 3-1 games, and you're always in the game. And then today was a great example of you're starting pitching against a bad lineup, a goose egg for most of the game, and eventually your team's able to have one magical inning where you have some athletes, you have a couple solid players, and you force some chaos on the bases, a win like tonight can happen. Some small ball, some chaos, an error or two by the Mariners helped our Halos score 5 runs in the top of the 5th. And if you didn't watch this game, if you didn't watch the 5th inning, you didn't miss anything. But if you didn't watch if you didn't watch any other inning besides the 5th inning, you didn't miss anything. But if you missed the 5th, that's where all the action happened in a crazy inning. Let's be honest. It started with 2 of those 5 guys in my faces of the franchise of the future. I can't even say it right. I got to get a more consistent title. The future faces of the franchise. There you go. In Logan O'Hoppe, who honestly might be the face of the franchise already, probably the best player for the Angels this year, or one of them. He leads off the 5th with a single. Then another one of those guys, Nolan Schanuel, responds with a single of his own. And just like that, runners on first and second, nobody out. Huge advantageous situation for the Angels. And what happens? Brandon Drury comes up, and he's no good. He's really not good. And he didn't do anything spectacular, but he made contact, forces Rojas to make a throwing error. We'll take it. And just like that, the bases are loaded. So look what happens when you get a couple guys on base when there were 0 hits coming into this inning for the Angels. And just like that, you get 2 hits. You actually force the opposing, pitcher to respond to some pressure, get some adversity. You put that same amount of pressure on the opposing defense. Simply make contact, Brandon Drury, instead of striking out. And look what happens. Fielding error. The bases are loaded now for Mickey Moniak, who is certainly not a scary hitter, but a little scarier than he's been in the 2 months ago. This guy's not hitting 160, he's hitting 210. And so you actually have to think a little bit when you pitch to him. And so Gilbert, who was other than this inning, fantastic, absolutely crumbles. Throws 4 balls, none of them really close, all below the knees, a couple in the dirt, 4-pitch walk to walk in a run. I mean, brutal stuff from Gilbert, who was other than this inning, fantastic. But look, this is what we're talking about with this team and this small ball and this, athleticism mixed with, risk-taking on the bases and bunts and all that. This is what we were promised. We see it in a game like today, even when the lineup does absolutely nothing other than the 5th inning. You're able to have a monster 5th inning because of a combination of a couple base hits, some luck, some smart hitting for Mickey Moniak here with the walk, although pretty easy. I think I could have drawn that walk. And then some athleticism, some quickness on the bases. All of that can contribute to 1 inning. And that's all you needed tonight. So keep preaching this. Keep actually playing like this. Just get base hits, get some chaos. We don't need to win every game with home runs. And it's one of the rare games where the Angels didn't need 3 home runs to score 5 runs. And it's so nice. And it's more entertaining, by the way. I know everyone likes watching a home run, but I kind of like watching an inning like this more. That's just me, at least. But Moniak scores a run or hits a run in with an RBI on the walk with the bases loaded. It's 1-0. And then some more chaos. Zach Neto bunts. It's a pretty solid bunt. I don't know, to be honest, how many runs would have scored if the Mariners handled this one well as well. But once again, they fall apart. Once again, small ball to perfection. Just make things interesting. Make the other team have to do something other than just swinging for the fences and striking out every time or occasionally hitting the home run. Hit a couple ground balls, get a walk, and then with the bases loaded, there's already been some chaos. Why not just put the ball on the field and make something happen? And that's exactly what the Angels do. That's exactly what Zach Neto does. Bases loaded, 1 out. Neto comes out of nowhere with a bunt down the right field line. Schanuel scores, and then the pitch is wild. I think Schanuel might have been out if it was a good throw, but instead, Gilbert absolutely airmails this one. Ball gets away. Not only does Schanuel score, but then Drury scores on some craziness as well. He's trying to get home from third. He actually runs into the fielder. They call interference play, obstruction. Brandon Drury trying to get home. He was going to be out, but it's because he ran into the fielder. And so the Angels go from 1 run on a walk to a sack bunt scoring 2 that really shouldn't have scored any. So that's what I mean. Definitely got some help from the Mariners, but also look what happens, man. Look what happens when you just put the ball in play, when you have some athletes. Schanuel's not the fastest running down the line from third to home, but Neto certainly is quick, and certainly that adds to the chaos when a speedy guy bunts and the bases are loaded. There's a whole lot going on. And so look what happens. Sack bunt leads to a horrible play for the Mariners once again, a second throwing error in the inning. And just like that, it's 3-0. But the inning was not over. After a Joe Adell strikeout, he returned to having an awful game. And then after an Anthony Rendon ground out, look who comes up. Look who comes up in his first game back in a while. Luis Rengifo, with trade rumors flying, with the deadline just a week away. And Rengifo honestly being the biggest question mark of a guy that is kind of, it's hotly debated amongst the Angels community. Should he be traded? Should he be kept? Should he be signing an extension, or should he be out of here and cashing in? There was just a report today from Jeff Passan saying that certainly Rengifo is a guy to keep an eye on. And what does he do with the bases loaded with 2 outs? Very easily in his first game back, could have, just popped out or something. It's 3-0 and the game stays interesting. But no, Rengifo has been the best hitter on this team. Really all season long when he's been playing. He's hitting .315, and right here, just professional hitting. He just rips a line drive on a not good pitch on 1-1, a cutter up, but right down the middle, and he rips it up the middle, scores not just Moniak, but Zach Neto as well, and it's 5-0. He blows the game open, and Gilbert's gem suddenly turns into a 5-run fifth and a disastrous performance for the Mariners fielders, including Gilbert. Now, ironically here, we got the full Rengifo experience, because right after he has that stellar at-bat, the liner up the middle, the 2 RBIs with the bases loaded to blow the game open at 5-0, what does he do? He gets picked off. He gets picked off, gets caught stealing, but really just got caught in no man's land at first base, because that is the whole Luis Rengifo experience. Coming back from an injury, which is certainly part of it, with a great hit, which is certainly part of it, with some foolishness on the bases, which at times is certainly part of it being the Luis Rengifo experience. So we got all 3 of those things, but we'll take it. We will certainly take it, and certainly teams that are watching Rengifo, other teams thinking about trading him or trading for him, see 1 for 4, not amazing, but 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs in your first game back when you're already hitting over 310, now 314, the OPS just under 800. Certainly a guy you could get a lot for. And so we'll see what the Angels do with him. One of the biggest questions for this team in the next 7 days is how many guys are going to get dealt. Not if guys are going to get dealt, it's how many and to what caliber. Anderson seems like a no-brainer. Estevez seems like a no-brainer. Taylor Ward, if he can be a decent player for the next week and you can actually get something for him, still seems like a no-brainer. Rengifo is the really interesting wild card of the deadline. And so really nice to see him come back and not waste any time getting back to form, getting back to having clutch hits and boosting that trade value. Whether you trade him or not, certainly not going to complain about him coming back and playing well. We're going to take our last break here on the postcast, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Mike Trout getting hurt again. Not even hurt again. Still being hurt. Extending his injury status. We'll talk about it in case you missed the news right after our last break here. And we're going to read comments, as always, here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. I will be right back. Today's show is brought to you by eBay Motors. You hear me talk about eBay Motors just about every show as well. And it's funny, my car is getting repaired tomorrow, and I really wish I would have gotten on things sooner with eBay Motors instead of having to deal with some of the other guys, right? So certainly listen to this ad read closely and don't do what I did. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. And finally, today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Man, I love Prize Picks, and so do 5 million active members on America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports because unlike other apps where you got to compete with other humans to have the best stats, to have the best lineups, no. Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers, not this competition with other people, with statistics nerds, with guys who are running all these algorithms and models. No, it's just you against the numbers. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. And the best part about Prize Picks, the promotions, like on Tuesdays, having select player stats projections actually get lowered. So if a player is projected to get 1 hit or maybe 2 hits, say a guy is projected to get between 1 and 2 hits. And so the more or less number would be 1.5. Well, on Tuesdays, they'll drop it down to 0.5. So he only needs to get 1 hit to have the stat hit. They lower the stat projections on Tuesdays, and on Fridays, your first lineup, if it doesn't hit, guess what? You get your money back. It's a win-win situation. Absolutely no risk on Friday. So certainly, if you don't already have the app, if you're not already a part of that huge community, including myself, download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Back here live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. I am Gavin Carlson, and I'm fired up, man. Not only am I overcoming that sickness, not only I know the voice still sounds a little bit off. If I could speak, you might be able to hear it. The voice is not back to 100%, but I think the energy is. And it certainly helps that the Angels have won 3 in a row. It certainly helps that maybe my favorite Angel, Jose Soriano, had a great 3-hit, 1 earned run, 5 strikeout performance. Certainly helps that the Angels had a 5-run 5th inning and it continued their dominance against Seattle. The combination of all that, great win, a great couple of wins, and me overcoming the illness, the energy is back. I'm feeling good. And certainly the comments, the likes, the subscriptions all help that as well. So shout out to all of you. We'll read the comments real quick, and then I'll quickly tell you what happened to Mike Trout, because kind of a bit of a downer on what was otherwise a pretty darn good day to be an Angels fan. Shout out to Jeff, as always. You know, the postcast loyal man himself. He says he's at work checking in, seeing that we won, and then he predicts that the Angels will sweep Seattle, but then get swept by the A's, because that is how it goes this year. That's hilarious. He also says that he appreciates me. Absolutely appreciate you as well. Thanks for the kind words, and we'll see. Jeff has been pretty spot on with his predictions, I'm not going to lie. Usually it's because he predicts negative things to happen, and with the Angels this year, certainly a lot of negative things have been happening, but certainly I'll take the sweep of Seattle. Will not at all take the sweep of the A's. That's actually a quietly pretty big series for our Angels. Not because they're going to make some wild card push, but because you're playing against a bad team right before the trade deadline, a really big opportunity for some guys to boost that trade value right before the big trade deadline day or couple of days. So that A's series, quietly a pretty big one for the Angels this year. Anthony Jimenez back here as always as well. He says, nice win. Soriano looking good. Absolutely. You're looking good as well. Thanks for being back here. Appreciate that. But Alex, a loyal member as well. He says, W win. Absolutely. And Anaheim Angel, as loyal as they come as well. He says, nice to see Rengifo back on the field. Now to wait for Trout. And wow, I didn't even plan that, but that is a perfect segue. Thank you, Anaheim Angel, to the quick last discussion of the postcast. And that is the Mike Trout news. Because if you did not hear, if you were distracted by a great win, Mike Trout made his return to the field after that long absence with the knee issue. He was supposed to play 5 innings for the Bees, and he only played 2. He exited the game with knee soreness, and that is the last thing you wanted to hear. I would have loved, honestly, I didn't know that coming into the day, but certainly with what happened, would have much rather preferred to hear Mike Trout went 0 for 9 with 8 strikeouts than what we have today, because the number one thing, obviously, with Trout is to stay on the dang field, and literally, his first time back on the field, not in the majors, in the minors, and Trout can't even last more than 2 innings. There was reports that it was super hot that day or today there, and that maybe that contributed to it. No, the plan was for him to play 5 innings, and he only played 2, and that is concerning. There's nothing, there's no and, if, or buts about it. I think I butchered that saying there, but it's concerning. And apparently it's day to day. That would be great. Obviously, there's no need, absolutely zero need to rush Mike Trout back. And honestly, I'm not mad if he doesn't come back until after the deadline, until after you see what this roster is looking like. Certainly, I think it makes a lot of sense to just trade Taylor Ward and then have Mike Trout come right back and hit third, right where Taylor Ward has been hitting all season, and not very well, as a matter of fact. But no need to rush Trout back. If they're saying it's day to day, then that's really good news, because, if it's day to day for a team that doesn't need to rush a guy back, then that really means it's nothing. If the Angels were in the middle of the playoff hunt and you hear day to day, then maybe that means they're rushing him back because they're trying to win games. But if he's day to day, if the Angels organization is actually for once telling the truth, and Mike Trout is just day to day, then this is all nothing. Just delay the return to majors a little bit. He's supposed to return to the Angels on Thursday, but we might not see him till the weekend. We might not see him till after the deadline. I would not be mad at that at all. But Make sure you keep your eyes, on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it, on MLB.com, and certainly above all else, make sure you're following the Locked On Angels daily podcast with the Frisch Bros. I'm sure they will talk about the Trout news tomorrow morning on their show and throughout the rest of the week. I'll also keep you updated. I like kind of, having a little, news segment here at the end of the postcast, just because we got 30 minutes. We have a lot of time to talk about stuff, and sure, there's been wins lately, but when there's not wins, stuff like Trout returning, stuff like trade value is certainly just as important as the game itself. So I will keep you posted. Certainly the Frisch Bros will keep you posted on Mike Trout. And please, just please, don't rush him. I say wait until after the deadline. Wait till all the veterans are traded, and then you'll need the veteran leadership of Mike Trout. Certainly don't need to rush him at all. But not great news today. Let's be honest. Not great news that Mike Trout is still struggling with injury issues. But hate to end the otherwise really happy postcast on a bit of a negative topic, but still a great day for the Angels because you get the win, which is always priority number one. But 1B in terms of priority is the futures of your franchise. The future faces of the franchise is what I'm going to copyright it as. It's always a great day when they play well. And not only did O'Hoppe and Schanuel both have big hits in this game in the 5th inning to start that rally, but above all else, my prediction as the future ace of this franchise, Jose Soriano, was phenomenal. So great day. You win. The future faces of the franchise play well, and a guy needing to get that trade value up in Luis Rengifo, he played well as well. So great day, great postcast. I'm feeling better. I didn't have a cough fit. That's a W right there because I've been struggling with the cough in recent postcasts as well. For once, I actually had the water bottle next to me today just in case, but did not cough. So we will take that as well. Another W on a big W day for Halo Nation. But with all that being said, appreciate the support so much. Pretty decent crowd here on the postcast tonight. Love to see those numbers. Appreciate the comments as always. Please, above all else, if you like the postcast, please leave a like on YouTube. It helps so much. You don't realize how much it helps. It's the internet. It's 2024. There's algorithms. There's ways to boost your, the expansion, the spread of your videos, the reach of your videos on this channel. And the number one way is to leave a like. If you leave a like, more big Angel fans like you will be able to see this postcast, will be able to create this community, build it up even more so that when the Angels eventually do start winning, this will continue to be the place to be after the game. So please leave a like if you haven't already. Just scroll down on your computer or just flip your phone from sideways to, portrait mode or whatever, up and down, and hit that like button. It helps so much. Leave a comment as well. Let me know what you liked about the postcast, what you didn't. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you know when I'm going live. There's a lot of people here that watch the show every day that didn't even watch the game, that maybe didn't even know when it ended. But because they're subscribed, they get notified right away that I'm going live. And then they know to go ahead onto the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel and listen to the postcast. So please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate you all so much. Great day to be an Angel fan. We get a win, and hopefully we can keep it going. Hopefully those trade values can keep getting boosted, and hopefully Mike Trout can eventually get back to playing Angels baseball. But I'm Gavin Carlson. It was a great postcast, a great win, and we'll be back tomorrow, hopefully for more of the same. Maybe a sweep of Seattle. That would be nice. I'm Gavin Carlson. Have a great Tuesday night, everybody, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for a day game and a sweep, hopefully, of those Mariners. Take care, everybody.